Canobie Lake Park is one of the notable amusement parks in the New England region of America. You can find it in the southern right-hand corner of New Hampshire, so it's a big draw for the Boston market, but this is a small amusement park home to 4 roller coasters. There's a Gerstlauer Eurofighter, an Aero Corkscrew, an Old School Woody, and a kiddie coaster. I've only been to this park once. It was at the end of summer in 2019. My visit was a little skewed because I went on what I was told was their most crowded day they had thus far. It was on a Saturday towards the end of August, and it was slammed. That being said, I'm still able to see most of the park, so this is going to be about my experience. I'm going to tell you some of the things that I noticed, some of the things I liked, and maybe some of the things that I didn't like. But for the most part, it was a pretty positive experience. Now, as I mentioned, because it was very crowded, they actually shuttled us into the park via school buses because they made us park off-site. The parking lot was full. So that was a first, rolling up to a theme park in a school bus. It was weird. But overall, first impressions of the park are nice. I mean, it has a really pretty front entrance. I love the stonework. You look to your right and you have Yankee Cannonball going around the parking lot. It was just a great first impression. And one of the words that I want to use to describe this park in general is quirky. It really feels old school, like Roller Coaster Tycoon. The biggest reason I say that is because the style that they went for is straight out of something you'd find in one of those computer games, because all of the food stands here look like the food that they're selling. So for instance, there's a popcorn stand. It looks like a tub of popcorn. Burger place has a rotating burger on top. And you can find these pretty much scattered throughout the park. It makes it easy to find what you're looking for, but also adds some charm to it. And this place really does pack in a lot of charm. It really has the feel of a family-owned amusement park. There's lots of trees, so it's green. And when your name is Canobie Lake Park, of course, you can find a gorgeous setting with a lake as the backdrop. One of my favorite parts about visiting this park was how we were allowed to take a boat out onto the water, no extra charge, and it was super nice and relaxing. I didn't even know about that going in here, but I walked up and I was like, oh my gosh, it's like a tour of the entire lake. You could see all the different houses on the water, the park from a distance. It was really cool. I highly recommend that when you come here. Another thing I really liked, Canobie Lake Park was so well kept. It was clean and everything just looked nice. Nothing really gave the impression of looking run down. Even though this park has been around since 1902, it looked great. I was very impressed. Now, not everything was perfect. Us going on the most crowded day of the year, you can expect the lines would be long, but it was made so much worse because everything was on one train operations. I was told with some of these rides that they only ever run one train, so it's not unusual what we saw, but still, that wasn't a great look. I mean, we pretty much only got one ride on everything simply because we didn't have time to do anything more. Now, it wasn't as bad as it could have been. Thankfully, Untamed, the Gerstlauer Eurofighter, and really the signature ride here, had a single rider line, and it was a walk-on. I think that was the only ride in the park that I did twice. We walked up the exit, were able to get right on, filled some empty seats, and didn't have to wait in that crazy long line. And that was awesome. Really fun ride, even though it's a pretty standard layout. Something I liked that was really subtle, the supports on Untamed are painted to look like trees. So it's subtle details like that I really enjoyed. For those carrying bags, all of the rides here at Canobie Lake Park had bins. There were no lockers, which was really nice. And you could just tell in general that the park is oriented towards a family audience. We saw families walking around with their dogs. Yeah, you could bring your pet here. And even aside from the rides, they made sure to provide lots for the guests to see and do. We saw a couple different shows going on. There was a Bruno Mars and Taylor Swift show. There was a magic show. We went and saw Twisted Circus, which is a music and dancing and acrobatic stunt show. That was pretty cool. It was about 45 minutes long. Kind of had a steampunk vibe to it. I liked it. It was nice. In terms of food, I know I talked about what the stands look like, but what I actually ate in my one meal that I had at Canobie Lake Park, I had Mexican, and it was huge. These giant loaded nachos. I was content with it. Yeah, totally satisfying. But I think just in general, I thought it was a really neat place. I don't think I'll be dying to go back anytime soon. There weren't any rides that really stood out to me. Everything we did was fine. I think that the actual park itself had so much character and charm that it'd be like, yeah, okay, I wouldn't mind coming back here, but that's the reason why I would go back. It's not really for any of the rides. It's just because the atmosphere is pretty cool. So I think if you're looking to go here, don't expect the craziest rides and attractions. I mean, this really is a family park. For what it is, I think it's fun, but I don't think it's a place you're going to want to visit all the time unless you're really a local. But those are just my thoughts on Canobie Lake Park in Salem, New Hampshire. Let me know down in the comments below what you think of this place if you've been here. And of course, if you're new to the channel, I'd love if you could subscribe. I do amusement park reviews from places all across the world. So thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time.